Okay. Hey, everybody, we're on Facebook Live. I'm Joe Sixpack, and this is a special little edition of What's Brewing TV. We're normally on Saturday nights on NBC Sports, but we got a special occasion here that I wanted to toast because we've got with us today Bob Benash, who is one of my longtime beer drinking buddies from Philadelphia. He's no longer in the area, so we can't share this event with each other person to person. So I thought, wow, let's do it on Facebook Live. This is toasting Bob Benash's 10,000th different beer on Untapped. So Bob Benash, welcome to What's Brewing on Facebook Live. How you doing up there?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you, Don. It's great to see you. You know, moving up here, it's a whole different world, different kind of beer scene. You know, living back home, you know, I could get on the high-speed line in 15 minutes, I'm in Philly, or drive the bridge, or I could hit 50 breweries within an hour. Up here, I'm lucky I hit one brewery within an hour drive, you know.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference up here.
Up here is where?
In Charlestown, New Hampshire, which is a Connecticut River Valley, right off of I-91, you know, the exit 7 area. So
you moved up there after you retired. You and I worked for a number of years together. We were doing events around the area, and also we hosted lot tastings every Friday afternoon at Bell's
right.
Bell Beverage down in South Philly.
Right. I was at Bell, and I got to give a shout out to Ed Hughes, because he was probably my first beer drinking buddy that I met, and he worked at Bell with Tim McMahon, and Ed told me about you doing the tastings at Bell, and I started showing up, and then Ed
it was free beer, right?
yeah. So Ed finally went to greener pastures. You know, now he's working for Hunterdon, and I took his place. Shout out to Frankie Bell for hiring me, and I was there, I guess, about 9 years until about a year and a half ago when I left.
And before that, your family was in the beer business, or in the liquor store business, right?
Yeah, my grandfather, he started out as a bootlegger, right? You know, Prohibition, and at one time the family had 2 liquor stores and 2 tap rooms, and you know, through attrition, they finally all sold and left with the Benash Liquor Store in Sherry Hill, which is the oldest continuous operating business in Sherry Hill in the same location. It's still there. We no longer, the family no longer owns it, but it was a good thing. So I've always kept my hands in the industry, so to speak.
So back in the day, though, I mean, there was none of this. I mean, there was a lot of beer to be had, but it was none of the craft beers back then.
No, there was absolutely no craft beer, and your imports weren't a lot. You know, you had Lowenbrau, you know, you had Tuborg in a funny little bottle, you know,
right.
nothing like you can't even find Tuborg anymore. You know, Ringness, you know, of course you had
from
Guinness.
Norway, yeah.
Yeah, of course you had Guinness. Yeah, you had Bass Ale, you know, but I remember buying Molson Golden, 5 cases. That was a lot. Now you could buy 20, 30 cases of Molson the way they started. But craft beer was non-existent back then. You know, 3 quarts of Duquesne for $1.
Yeah, exactly. So you started drinking craft beer, you know, about 10 years ago, I guess, or so. I mean, in earnest.
Well, yeah, in earnest, I would say probably when I really started getting into a lot of beer, my cousin would visit from Boston. He was going to Berkeley School of Music, and he'd come down and he'd have his father's credit card, and we'd go down to Harry's, a local watering hole in Medford, and buy up all this imported beer. We'd buy maybe 4 cases, all 6-packs of different stuff, and all we do was drink all the imported beers. Craft beer was non-existent. It was imports and
right.
your domestics. That was it. Uh, I collected cans, so I got into the Delaware Valley Beer Can Group, and there we would drink a lot of domestics from all over the country because guys would trade cans just to have the collection, you know.
So this afternoon we're talking about your 10,000th different beer, but that's on Untapped, and you've only
That's on Untapped.
So you've been doing that for how many years?
I've been on Untapped about 10 and a half years.
10 and a half years. So I'm getting a little thirsty. We're going to get to the 10,000th beer in a second, but before we do that, tell us what your $99.99 beer was.
Okay, we're going to open that right now.
Okay, all right.
Going to give a little shout out to your partner in crime, Glen Macnow.
Wow.
Unfortunately, he can't be with us today, so we're going to do the MC5, and going to pour that into my worthy glass.
I'm looking to see if I've got any in my fridge. I usually do. I got it too.
You got it too. So
I can drink with you there, Bob. Hold on a second. Let's toast each other here with your number 99.99.
99.99.
I've had a lot of. Cheers, man.
Cheers, pal. Cheers.
Oops.
That's really nice.
Mrs. Sixpack over here is demanding some as well. So, so this is an IPA. It's a double IPA. It's pretty darn good. Good beer.
Yeah, I let it sit for a while. It's warmed up a little bit. It has a lot more taste to it. You know what I mean? You could really get a lot more aroma, flavors.
Now,
as it warms up.
I've had a lot of beers with you over the years, and I know a lot of them have checked in with you. I mean, you know, I know there's like a controversy about how much beer are you drinking when you taste these beers. Some people that are ticking off the numbers, they're only taking one little sip. I know you for a fact. You finish your beers generally.
Yeah, a lot of 4 to 5 6-ounce tasters pouring beers at Bell.
Right.
You know, and then as you know, you and myself and Tony Donato, we would hit up all these breweries doing research, you know, and look at how many beers we drank, all those breweries we went to over the years.
I know, exactly.
And then all the bottle shares, and shout out to Matt Rittenberg, who would bring almost a case of beer every Friday to Bell Beverage, and would do a massive bottle share. And then all the bottle shares we would have at Matt's house or tap room on 19th upstairs would rent the place out, have a bottle share. You know, Stone Soup, the biggest bottle share in the area for years and years and years. So a lot of bottle shares, a lot of different things, but I would always at least a 4 or 5 ounce taster to consider it a check-in.
I went back and took a look at some of your past check-ins with Untapped. And I will say that, you know, out of the 10,000 beers you rated, and people are not familiar with Untapped, you rate stars 1 through 5, or is actually 1/2 through 5, I guess.
Yeah.
And you've had 47 different 5-star beers over the years. I'm going to ask you about some of those in a second, but I did find out, and this was a total shocker. I looked at some of your lowest ranked beers, some of those 1/2 stars, and most of them were crappy seltzer beers and some shandies and things like that. But there's a 1-star beer on that list that totally shocked me, and that was Deschutes the Abyss. You gave it 1 star. You remember that?
Yeah, because I think it was infected.
Okay.
That's a very good beer, but the bottle I had wasn't very. It was something wrong with it.
Okay. Well, let's not talk about the crappy beer. What about your favorite? Do you have one in particular that you really liked out of those?
Well, you know, it's beers? Funny. I would think that one of my favorite beers is by Hill Farmstead, and it's called Edward. And that was one of the first Hill Farmstead beers I had. And my friend Mo Jones and I, we went to Hill Farmstead, and nobody knew about Hill Farmstead. They just like opened up, you know. And in fact, one time we went up there, it was a Tuesday, because the brochure said they were open. Well, they weren't open. We got there, nobody's there. I go knock on Sean's door. Some guy comes out, pours us beers, sells us beers, you know. But Edward, for some reason, Edward is probably one of my top beers.
It's a good beer.
Yeah.
I think you should.
It's a great beer. Although
You've been responsible for bringing down beers over the years. You had a Vermont connection for years, and it's the first time I ever tasted Heady Topper was because of you.
With the Heady Topper.
Yeah.
And because when my son lives up here, and I would come up like maybe every couple months to visit once I retired, and I would always go get the Heady Topper and bring it back to Philly. So I was the Heady Topper guy. So if you wanted Heady Topper, you got a hold of me, you know, because I'd bring back, you know, 8 to 10 cases at a time.
Right, exactly.
You know, so, you know, you wanted Heady Topper, go see Inspector Bob, you know. But yeah, a lot of different beers.
So we've had some comments on the Facebook page, Bob, including one from our friend Eric Loudon, who claims that your favorite beer ever was whatever I bought you.
Well, that's always a favorite beer, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, when somebody else buys, that's always a favorite beer, you know. But it's funny, like as good as Hill Farmstead is, they're not my favorite brewery.
What is your favorite brewery?
Dogfish Head.
Okay.
And I have family live in Lewis, Delaware, and I visit twice a year. So I get to go to Dogfish Head. And I just like the way Sam does things. You know, you go to the brewery and they'll have 6 to 8 brewery exclusives. And that's the only place you're going to drink them. You know, once they're gone, never to be drank again. He does the same thing at the brew pub. Unfortunately, you know, I like the old brew pub better. The new one doesn't have that ambiance, you know, that patina, you know what I mean?
Sam didn't check with you before he redid the brew.
No, Sam, I bump into him when I go down there. If he's there, we talk, you know. But and yet you'll go to the brew pub and they'll have some beers that the brewery won't have, you know. So he knows how to do it. And then he has the Chesapeake and Maine, which is right next door to the brew pub.
Right.
And you go in there and the food is fantastic. And you always have some vintage bottles to drink. And so my cousin and I, we go there and, you know, it's great, you know, but I've never seen anybody do it the way Sam does it. You know,
he's great with it, and he loves other beer lovers. He loves drinking with you.
Yeah.
Sam's one of the great people in craft beer.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So, a quick question from one of our viewers, Bob. What on Untapped? How do people follow you on Untapped? What's your tag name?
It's Bob, and then in parentheses Inspector Bob.
Bob, and so look for Inspector Bob.
In parentheses, yeah, it's Bob, Inspector Bob in parentheses. I don't. I got so many friends on Untapped. I don't, you know. They can follow me, but I don't really add a lot of people. In fact, once
I think they just want to check up to see if you're legit, Bob.
Yeah, okay.
Well, listen,
once we do this number 10,000,
yes, I think it's time to do it, Bob. I don't even know here what you're going to be drinking here for number 10,000. Before you do, I want to say I'm going to join you with a beer that you sent me down from River Roost.
River Roost, Project Object.
A bunch of these Project Objects here. I'm going to be drinking this one because this beer is from Bob Benash. He shared it with me in one of our many bottle or beer shares. Tell us what you're going to drink here for number 10,000 on Untapped.
That Project Object might be number 3. What they do, they've had 5 Project Objects, and they all use different hop varieties.
Okay.
But that may be Project Object number 3. Well, my beer for number 10,000, and because I've been on Untapped 10 and a half years, 10,000 beers, and I chose a beer from Anchorage Brewing Company called 10 Years.
Okay.
And it's about a 15.5%, and they call it an old ale / barley wine or whatever, you know what I mean? But I figured this was appropriate for the 10,000. It all ties in with 10.
So that's called it's from Anchorage Brewing, and it's called
10 years.
10 years. Okay.
That's what it's called. 10
Okay.
years.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a beer I'm unfamiliar with. It's got a wax top on it.
Yeah. I already trimmed it so it'll be easy to open. Very, very difficult to get this beer.
Okay. Where'd you get it?
How'd I get it?
Yeah. He can't tell us his sources.
Yeah. Well, through this one beer shipping company that I don't like anymore.
Okay. We'll let it go without naming then. Okay.
Okay. Got my nice little yards opener here.
Okay. I hope it doesn't take a cork, because you don't have a corkscrew, do you?
Oh yeah, I got everything.
All right. Okay.
I got everything here.
All right. Number 10,000 from Bob Benash is Anchorage Brewing. 10 years. Does look like a big beer. You said 14% alcohol.
14.5% alcohol.
14.5. It looks like a stout, or maybe it's an old ale. It had a goat on it.
They call it an old ale. We'll give it a taste here.
Cheers, Bob.
Cheers, Don. Wow. Oh boy. Some vanilla notes right up front. This is really tasty.
Teresa says cheers too.
Cheers, Teresa.
So lots of vanilla, very tasty, barrel aged, right?
Chocolatey. Really, wow. This is going to sneak up on you, because I don't feel any alcohol at all.
Bob, it says 14.5% alcohol on the label. It should not be sneaking up on you. You have been warned.
Hey, don't try this at home. I'm an expert. Now this is outstanding. This is unbelievably good. You know. Wow. Could put that over ice cream like we used to do at Bell.
Well, good luck with that, Bob. I think you're probably going to be shut-eye in about a half an hour.
Yeah, pretty soon, you know. But when we get all done this little Zoom thing here, then I'll check them in on Untapped.
That's good. And it's great. I'm really happy that I was actually able to share this with you, Bob. I wish we were in the same room. Mainly because I would like to get a taste of that beer. So. but this is great. Congratulations on year number 10,000 to Bob Benash up there in New Hampshire. We might be mentioning it in an upcoming episode of What's Brewing on NBC Sports Philly. We are on this weekend on Saturday night. We're going to be from up in Bucks County. I'm trying to remember which one we're at. I'm spacing which brewery we're at, but tune in. Oh, Second Sin, that's what it is. And you'll get to hear me rant about the lack of my box, I think, or Bach beer. Anyway, and Bob, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
On really think about that. 10 years of Untapped, 10,000 beers, 1,000 different beers for 10 straight years. And the man is still standing.
Yeah, still standing. And now I'm going back to PBR and Rolling Rock.
You're on a fixed income. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, Bob. It's great to see you.
Don.
Thanks for sharing that with us and folks on Facebook. It was great.
Same here. Take care, Teresa. Don, we'll catch up to you later on.
Be
Thank
good.
you. Right. Bye-bye.